وعلى بعض. So today, inshallah, we are doing ayah number 108 of Surah Al-An'am. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ كَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ مَرْجِعُهُمْ فَيُنَبِّئُهُم بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Our today's topic is very relevant and very concerning to the Muslim Ummah. We have been noticing for the last approximately 20 or 30 years that almost everywhere in Western countries, the patience of this Ummah is tested from time to time by some individuals who commit acts of blasphemy. Sometimes we see them burning copies of the Quran. Sometimes we see them cursing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And sometimes we see them cursing Allah azza wa jalla. Since social media became popular, these trends increased. And every time you go to social media, you see that people commit these types of acts so frequently that you really want to do something against them. You have that feeling next to you. So how to deal with this? And what is the position of blasphemy if committed by a non-Muslim? It can happen anywhere around us. It's not like this country is safe from such acts. These things can happen anywhere in the world. They happen here in this country. So imagine if you see a person committing blasphemy, how do you react? And what will you do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a very clear guidance. In fact, it is a command. He says, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ. Do not insult those they invoke other than Allah, lest they insult Allah in enmity without cause. So Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded us that you, O Muslim, do not insult those deities, false deities, that these guys being non-Muslims and kuffar invoke, they worship. It's a clear command. Why? Because if you do it, then in return they will insult Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and enmity without any cause. So you are causing them to insult Allah. Therefore, do not insult those false deities. Now the question comes that if there are people who insult Allah, who insult Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how come Allah does not punish them? Allah's punishment should strike them right away if they are insulting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jalla responds to this question, this possible question in the same ayah. He says, كَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ. Thus we have made pleasing to every community their deeds. Every community thinks that what we are doing is excellent, is perfect. It is within the line of our deen, it is within the line of our religion. So our deity will be happy when we insult Allah. Our deity will be our God will be happy when we insult Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but they have to wait until they come back to us. Why? Because this dunya is Darul Imtihan. This dunya is not Darul Jaza. This is not the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes or rewards. This is the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts people to test and trial. So the actual punishment will happen on the day of judgment. So Allah is saying that too much level of people they will be determined to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they will see the result of their deeds in this dunya. So the position of the Muslim Ummah is that we are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are not allowed to insult other deities, though we believe that they are false deities. It's not possible for us. It is haram for us to do it. And if that's the case, then we expect them to do the same thing. If our attitude is that we do not insult their gods and goddesses, then we expect them to do the same thing, that they don't insult our God. They don't insult Allah. They don't insult Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's the first masala or first issue today. And we'll go inshallah in detail. The second issue is that Muslims were commanded not to destroy any place of worship, whether it is a masjid or something else. They're commanded not to destroy any place of worship. And this command is in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this ayah is Surah Al-Hajj. This is the ayah through which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us or allowed Muslims to do jihad. First ayah that gives permission to do jihad. In this ayah, the purpose of jihad is presented, is mentioned. The purpose of jihad is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't allow some people to push others away, then then synagogues, churches, and temples and masajid would have been destroyed. The reason why Allah has given us permission to do jihad so that synagogues, churches, temples, and masajid, they stay strong and people worship there. So if the purpose of jihad is to protect the places of worship, how can a Muslim destroy a place of worship even if it doesn't belong to his community? It's not possible. Then, in the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we found that Christians of this, there is an area in Saudi Arabia, it's called Najran. It is now in Saudi Arabia. It was heavily populated by Christians during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the people, the Christians of Najran, they agreed, they had a peace treaty with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and part of the peace treaty was Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam had asked his secretary to write the following: أن لهم على ما تحت أيديهم من قليل وكثير من بيعهم وصلواتهم. It means that Christians will continue to take care of their small and big places of worship and churches. We will not interfere in those places of worship. It means it is strictly prohibited for a Muslim to destroy the places of worship that belong to other communities. So we cannot insult false deities, those who believe they are false. And we cannot destroy other places of worship. Very clear. And this is what we expect from the rest of the world. But there are two important questions. The first question is about the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the seerah of Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam, we find two incidents that are contrary to what I just said. The first incident is that when he entered the city of Makkah, after the conquest of Makkah, then what happened? There was 360 items in Ka'batullah. Those 360 items were demolished, were thrown away from Ka'batullah. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded us not to destroy the temples, then how come these idols were thrown out of the Kaaba? That's the first question. The second question is that there was a temple in Yemen. Its name is Zil Khalsa. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam allowed his companions to destroy this temple. It's called Zil Khalsa in Yemen. So these are two incidents. How do we understand these two incidents? How do they make any sense? If we were forbidden to destroy any temple or any places of worship, then how come Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam didn't act upon this advice of Allah? Remember one thing about Ka'batullah. Who built Kaaba? We all know. It was built by Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. It was built by his son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. When they built the Kaaba, according to the Quran, when Ibrahim al-Qawa'id al-Bayt wa Ismail, when Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam were raising the foundations of the Kaaba, they made dua. And we talked about this dua the first day of our tafsir. They made several du'as. The first dua was about Ummah Muslimah. That, oh Allah, sent Ummah Muslimah here. And the second dua was for the Prophet of that Ummah Muslimah, for Allah sent a Prophet from them who will recite to them your ayat. Now this place, Ka'batullah, was the first masjid on the surface of earth after Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, after the great flooding. The first masjid ever built in the world was this, Ka'batullah. Now imagine if you have a masjid, it was dedicated for those who believe in Tawheed and oneness of Allah. It was dedicated to Ummah al-Muslimah. And then some Muslims come and they bring their idols. Then what do? We give respect to those idols and we allow them to use our place of worship? No. Then we throw the idols away. This is our place, you are occupying. We were not occupying it. This place was originally built for Muslims. This place was originally built to establish Tawheed. And you were coming in shirk. So you are an outsider. You occupy your space. You occupy our masjid. You are going to demolish it. So when we have time and opportunity, we will throw all the items away. And this is exactly what Rasulullah did. It was perfect act of justice. It was not a zulm. As for Zil Khalsa, what happened to Zil Khalsa? Zil Khalsa, its nickname was Al-Ka'bah al-Yamaniyya, the Yemeni Kaaba. The Yemeni Kaaba. And the actual Kaaba, which is in Makkah, it was called Al-Ka'bah al-Shamaliyya, the northern Kaaba. So there were two Kaabas in Jazirat al-Arab. The actual Kaaba and the Yemeni Kaaba. Now, the people of Yemen, all of them accepted Islam. They established masajid, they started praying there. They did not demolish this Al-Ka'bah al-Yamaniyya because some of them were superstitious. So they requested Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya Rasulullah, we have this Al-Khalsa. Nobody goes there, nobody worships there. What do we do? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was one guy who used to take care of it. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sent a couple of companions to demolish it. Why? Why was it demolished? Let me give you an example. Look, we live in a secular state. The constitution is secular. The symbol of secularism in this country is Congress and White House. The country is run by these people who sit in that building. Imagine if a bunch of people get together here in Chicago and they say that we are going to make our own Congress and we'll rule all 50 states from here, Chicago. We don't care what Washington, D.C. says. We're going to rule these 50 states from here. So these people will be behind bars for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for how long? Right away. The state will not tolerate this. It's called sedition. The reason why we are freely and openly allowed to worship because our worship doesn't go against these secular norms and ideas of the state. The moment we say something against the secular idea of the state, it could be considered an illegal act. Now, in an Islamic country, the Islamic government that was established by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it was not secular. It was Islamic. It was based on Tawheed. And the biggest symbol of Tawheed was what? Ka'batullah. Even today, the biggest symbol of Tawheed is Ka'batullah. Now, by having another Kaaba within the territory of Islamic State, you are actually challenging the Islamic State. You're actually challenging the government. You're actually challenging the biggest symbol of Tawheed. There should be only one biggest symbol, not two. Therefore, the other Kaaba had to be demolished. Other temples were not demolished. Christian churches were not demolished. Only this Kaaba al-Yamaniyya was demolished for this reason. If you see people doing similar thing against the secular state today in 2022, the state's response will be the same. It will not be different. That building will be demolished, and people behind this activity will be put behind bars. Same response. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's response was so different. It is a natural response. It's a commonsensical response. So that's the first thing, that Muslims are not allowed to demolish any place of worship. The second thing is that we are not allowed to insult any deities, though we believe that those are false deities. But the question is there any punishment if somebody insults Allah? If someone insults Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is there any punishment for that? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's seerah, when we look at his seerah, we find that he used to forgive people. Day before yesterday, I mentioned this story that a man was going to assassinate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He found Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sleeping and his sword was next to him. He got this opportunity, he took the sword and he said, "Oh Muhammad, wake up now, who's going to protect you from me?" And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Allah." It happened 3 times, and the 4th time, the guy surrendered. So he was going to assassinate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah alaihi wasallam forbade him. That is not possible in our time today. The head of the state is going to be assassinated, and yet he forgives the assassin. It doesn't happen. So we find in the seerah of Rasulullah that he used to forgive. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Inna kafaynaka al-mustahzi'in." That, "O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we are sufficient on your behalf against those who mock you. You don't have to do anything. Meaning you don't have to punish them. You don't have to take any revenge." In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُ لَيَحْزُنُكَ الَّذِي يَقُولُونَ. We certainly know that what these people say, it makes you sad. But we give you assurance that they can never prove you a liar. You don't have to do anything. So in these ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you don't have to do anything. Don't react. If you are insulted, if you are mocked. So if you look at the seerah, if you look at these ayahs, it suggests that there shouldn't be any punishment. We just don't react to those incidents. But keep one thing in mind. These 2 ayahs that I mentioned, these were revealed in Makkah al-Mukarramah. These were revealed in Makkah al-Mukarramah before the Islamic State was established in Medina. And therefore, when we as Muslims live in a non-Muslim country, because we do not rule there, we don't have power, we are not in government, we don't set laws, we don't make laws, we are not legislators, then we follow these ayahs. Anyone who mocks Rasulullah, anyone who mocks Allah, of course we feel bad, but we will not use any weapon against him. We will not use power against him, because it is beyond our responsibility, it's beyond our limitation. We're living in a non-Muslim country, we have to follow the law. But if we have a Muslim country, then the Muslim country will form a law that any resident, Muslim or non-Muslim, insults Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it is a punishable crime. How do we know that? In Surah Al-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَإِن نَكَثُوا, in Surah Al-Tawbah was in Medina, وَإِن نَكَثُوا أَيْمَانَهُم مِّن بَعْدِ عَهْدِهِمْ وَطَعَنُوا فِي دِينِكُمْ فَقَاتِلُوا أَئِمَّةَ الْكُفْرِ. That if they break their covenant, وَإِن نَكَثُوا أَيْمَانَهُم, and they insult your deen, وَطَعَنُوا فِي دِينِكُمْ, then you fight against the leaders of kufr. They insult your deen. Insulting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is actually insulting the deen of Allah. Insulting Allah is insulting the deen of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear that those people, after they made a covenant with the state, every citizen had made a covenant with the state. When we come, whether we are born here or we came from outside, we have a covenant with the state that we follow the law. So similarly, in a Muslim state, every single citizen, Muslim or non-Muslim, has a covenant with the state that they will follow the law. But if they break that law, meaning they commit sedition, and they insult Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَقَاتِلُوا أَئِمَّةَ الْكُفْرِ, then you fight against the leaders of kufr, against the leaders of disbelief. A very clear guideline. And this is why Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf was killed in Medina Munawwarah. Who is Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf? Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf was the leader, the chief of a tribe called Banu Nadir. According to a narration, he made a covenant with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I will live as a peaceful citizen in Medina Munawwarah. But then what happened? Lahiqa bi Makkah. He went to Makkah. Makkah was the enemy land. He went to Makkah. And when he returned from there, he قدم المدينة معلنا بمعاداة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He came to Medina, he returned to Medina, expressing his enmity against Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. He became Rasulullah from enemy. And what he used to do? According to a narration in Tirmidhi, كان شاعرا يهجو رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He was a poet and he used to mock Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم in his poetry. ويحرض قريشا على القتال, and he used to instigate Quraysh to fight against Muslims. So he broke the covenant first, and therefore Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم issued his death warrant, and he was killed. So we learn from the story, from the seerah of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, that in an Islamic state, this rule will be implemented. But the question is that what is rational justification of this rule? Where is freedom of expression? Look, in Islam, I have been talking about this. Unlike Western liberal countries, in Islamic countries, you don't have that much freedom. You cannot do whatever you like to. You cannot do whatever you like to. Just like in Western liberal countries, you cannot do whatever you like to. You can do much, but you cannot do everything. There are many restrictions here. Likewise, in Islamic state, you cannot do whatever you like to. So, blasphemy law, you know that if you Google this, blasphemy law is not something that is specific to Muslim countries. Blasphemy law is in many countries in Europe. It's in Australia. It's in Russia. It's in many countries. Try to do Nazi salute in Germany and in Australia. You will be behind bars right away. Why? It's blasphemy. Blasphemy. How can you have sympathy with Hitler? You are actually hurting the sentiments of Jews. We respect that. But this is double-centered. That only Jewish sentiments matter, but Muslim sentiments don't. This is double-centered. So blasphemy laws are active in many countries. The only difference is that in these countries, they don't have death sentence. In Islamic country, the punishment of blasphemy is death sentence. And we talked about yesterday why the sentences or the punishments in Western countries don't work. Yesterday we talked about it. And in Islamic country, and we have the example of Saudi Arabia, how come Islamic sentences, Islamic punishments work, and they are so effective. So the conclusion is that blasphemy law should be a law in an Islamic state. But we live in America, or we live in the Western countries, in liberal democracies, where such law does not exist. Therefore, if we see anybody committing the act of blasphemy, then we follow another three. The hadith says, if anyone of you sees munkar, then try to change it and stop it by force. But if you cannot do it, when can you use your force? When you have force. If you don't have force, then you cannot use it. So if you cannot change it by force, then فَبِلِسَانِهِ, try to stop it by your tongue. Speak up against it. At least you can do that here. If you cannot even speak up, then فَبِقَلْبِهِ, feel bad about it. So when we see some non-Muslims, some transgressors, some a'immatul kufr, some leaders of the disbelief, when we see that they are mocking Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they are mocking Allah in these territories, in these places, we at least either we speak up or we feel bad about it, but we never use force against them because we are not allowed to use it. We respect the law. We are responsible citizens. Understand? So, this is a very important topic, and especially many of us many of in the audience come from Pakistan. In Pakistan, though this masala is not related to America, in Pakistan, blasphemy is very, very sensitive. People have complained against the state that the state is never active when there is an act of blasphemy is occurred. So people take law into their hands and they just, sometimes kill the person on street, and Islam that is criticized after that. Remember, respected brothers and sisters, criticism is always welcome, but mocking should never be welcome. We do not support those acts that happen in Pakistan or in Egypt and only those Muslim countries. We do not support those acts. Nobody is authorized or allowed to take law into their hands. But nobody can prove the rationality of blasphemy law in an Islamic state. As for the citizens of a non-Muslim country, we respect the local law and we follow the law. جزاكم الله خير الجزاء وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.